Opus Dei is among the most powerful organizations within the Catholic Church. Extremely well connected in the Vatican, endorsed by former popes, and feared by former members.
Obey or you're done.
I'd call it an authoritarian organization within the Catholic Church, even more authoritarian than the Church itself.
The head of Opus Dei in Germany rarely gives interviews, but he made an exception for this report. He emphasized the group's Christian values.
The primary importance of Opus Dei lies in the wonderful message of how to live every day with love and mercy as a Christian.
Opus Dei founder José María Escrivá was revered as a saint during his lifetime. He aligned himself with powerful people, especially in Spain. The group's German branch also seeks close contact to politicians and church leaders such as Cardinal Rainer Maria Wölki, Cologne's controversial archbishop. Traditionally media-shy, Opus Dei was forced into the spotlight by Dan Brown's bestseller The Da Vinci Code and the subsequent film. The group was portrayed as bloodthirsty and ruthless. But where is the line between myth and reality? Is Opus Dei a Catholic cult that endangers members and a free society? Or is the personal prelature nothing more than another pious institution fighting to keep an ever-decreasing number of believers in the fold?
Hello, children of God around the world. How are you doing? Today we are going to explore the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church, I would say, in the Christian community, is the oldest church to have ever been known to man in terms of Christians. Now, of late, I would say in this day and age, the Catholics are really losing their members, especially here in Africa and Europe and other parts of the world. The question is, why are people leaving the Catholic? Some conspiracy theorists are saying it is somewhat of a secret society. You know, the Pope, there are little things coming. So today we are going to dive into the Catholic Church and explore this topic called Opus Dei. In English, it means the Lord's way, and how this thing has really being portrayed in the Catholic world or in the Catholic Church. We are going to hear from this simple documentary how people who have experienced Opus Dei have lived and view it, and maybe we are going to see and conclude what it is all about. Come along with me, like and subscribe, hit the notification button, and comment about
Spain's government and Opus Dei remain intertwined even now. Education, justice, and presumably banking are still under its influence. How? 90,000 members globally. Members in North and South America make up about a third of that total. There are roughly 10,000 members in Africa, Asia, Australia, and Oceania combined. Spain is Opus Dei's strongest base, with about 35,000 members. Another 4,000 are in Italy, and in Germany, about 600 clergy and laypersons. In 1945, Opus Dei starts expanding from Spain to Portugal and Italy, then to Germany, France, and England. It later establishes centers in North and South America. Today, there are members in 90 countries, including Africa and Eastern Europe. Opus Dei is structured around strict hierarchies. Only men are allowed to join at first, though women are soon allowed too. Prelate Fernando Ocares now heads the group. About 2% of its members are priests. About 10% are so-called numeraries, who live in Opus Dei centers, separated by gender and committed to celibacy. They are supported by assistant numeraries, women who cook and clean in the facilities. The largest group are the supernumeraries, who follow the values of Opus Dei but are allowed to marry and lead private lives. Many new members feel a great deal of pressure to perform. Not delivering causes trouble.
Das Opus selber lebt von der Kontrolle.
Opus Dei thrives on control, meaning pressuring people to follow all these rules and punishing them if they don't. When it comes to the faith, there's a certain pressure to excel. Opus Dei puts an emphasis both on economic success and the idea that faith is a kind of measurable performance. You always come up short. You always feel you're not doing enough. Also a means of applying pressure and domination.
Das ist ja auch ein Mittel, Druck auszuüben und Herrschaft auszuüben.
Dietmar Scharmitzer was an adolescent when he was recruited by Opus Dei. He stayed for 9 years. He founded a platform for former members after leaving.
Einer der Zwecke, so eine Plattform zu schaffen, war, dass man als ehemaliges Mitglied zunächst einmal...
One of the reasons behind the platform was that former members at first feel very guilty. You promised to do something, but didn't. Opus Dei approaches people without saying who it is and what it wants. It acts like a cult in some critical areas. The candidate is shown emotion and is courted. But when they actually join, the trap is sprung. The tone changes, and everything is demanded of them. As the founder said, we strip him down to his shirt.
Originalton des Gründers, wir ziehen ihn aus bis aufs Hemd.
So we can see here that most of the large institutions, influential institutions in Spain and other parts of the world, especially in Europe, where the Catholic Church have got strongholds, where the Catholic Church are very influential, you will find that most of these powerful institutions are under the Catholic Church. Most of their members of the Opus Dei are running these institutions.
Carmen Charo knows this from personal experience. She was only 12 when she was courted by the Opus Dei Youth Club.
Yo era entonces una niña tímida, callada, dócil y...
I was a shy girl, lonely and not a good student.
Empezó a pensar que yo era tonta o algo así.
My father always made me feel stupid. Everyone welcomed me warmly at the Opus Dei Youth Club. We played guitar. I felt accepted. And little by little, they got me to the point where I signed up. But I soon realized that I was not really suited for a life in Opus Dei. I felt imprisoned. But whenever I wanted to leave, they pressured me. You can't do that. God will never forgive you. You'll pay for it all your life. Things like that. I had little self-confidence, and I didn't know where to go. So I was easy prey for them, and they caught me again and again.
We meet Antonio Esquevias in Madrid. He was a priest in Opus Dei for 30 years. Then he quit, married, and started a new life.
La vida así está regulada.
Everything is planned in Opus Dei. The alarm clock rings just after 6, which means get out of bed, kiss the floor and say Servium or I will serve God and Opus Dei. Then it's time for a cold shower. Warm water is prohibited. Then praying the rosary and mass. After assisting with breakfast, pray again, then work. And in the evening, internal reflection, alone, and once a week with the center's spiritual director.
Todo esto todos los días.
A life of rules and renunciations. Only approved books, no movies, no theatre.
It's really a parallel universe. You're not allowed to watch a soccer game or drive your own car where and whenever you please. You have to give your car key to the director, and the money you earn is tightly controlled. You get a small amount for the basics, but even then, you have to track your expenses and account for every subway ticket at the end of the month. And if you want to buy a new pair of pants, you can't just go to a store. You have to ask the director first.
Consultarlo, no va en gastos ordinarios.
The philosophy of Opus Dei founder José María Escrivá can be read in his book, Camino, in English, The Way. He wrote, "Your duty is to be an instrument. Obey, as an instrument obeys in the hand of the artist, not stopping to consider the reasons for what it is doing." Obedience, duties, rules, bans. Former members recall how their frustrations gradually mounted.
Can you obey? That's usually the first question, so that you can be molded and only do what the Father and other leaders tell you.
Was der Vater und die Leiter, Leiterinnen dir sagen.
Ich habe noch 2 Erinnerungsstücke an meine Zeit im Opus Dei. Das Bußband mit 2 bis 3
I have 2 mementos from my time in Opus Dei. A Silas, this metal chain with 2 to 3 millimeter thick spikes. You wear it with the spikes digging into your thigh and sit on it for 2 hours every day to subdue one's desires. And this is the penitential scourge. It's braided, but you feel the effects if you give it a swift lash.
Weitere Bußübungen sind
Other means of penance are the cold shower for the father in the morning and sleeping on the floor twice a week. Numeraries can't sleep on mattresses, out of principle.
Numerarierinnen müssen prinzipiell ohne Matratze schlafen.
There's also the practice of resting your head on a phone book instead of a pillow when you sleep. I'd sometimes have a stiff neck. I eventually resented it all. I thought this can't be.
Das kann's nicht sein.
Suffering and sleepless nights. For the head of Opus Dei in Germany, it comes back to pious tradition.
Es gibt so eine Kirche traditionelle Askese, die Mutter Teresa praktiziert hat, die Papst Johannes Paul.
There's a tradition of asceticism in the church that Mother Teresa practiced, that Pope John Paul practiced, that many others practiced. It's not about self-harm. It's something people today may not understand. It's about following the Lord, who suffered, who was crucified, who was whipped. It serves as a little reminder. It must be good for our body. Our body is a part of our being. Asceticism is part of Christian life. How people follow that is up to them.
A reminder of Christ's sufferings as an exercise of faith? Critics are skeptical.
There are extremely violent fantasies behind it, and it's extremely harmful physically, although that's always disputed. The idea that keeping this evil body in check and inflicting harm is a form of following Christ who bore the cross and was whipped, that's very difficult for me to understand spiritually.
There's a very long tradition of misogyny and physical harm throughout the history of Catholicism and Christianity, but specifically hostility towards women. But in Opus Dei, a lot of Catholic teachings, what all Catholics are supposed to believe, is taken to the extreme.
Das wird im Opus nochmal auf die Spitze getrieben.
How are conservative groups like Opus Dei perceived within the Catholic Church? An interview request with Cardinal Volke was rejected.
Opus Dei. Children of God around the world, did Christ come on this earth to die for us, or did his death symbolize or show that no, we have to go through what he went through? My Bible tells me that for God so loved the world. John 3:16 said, for God loved the world, that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have an everlasting life. Jesus didn't come on this face of the earth to die so that everybody should go through what he went through. He came to take our place. He suffered for our sins so that we may be free. Is this how Christianity should be? Is this how, as Christians, we should be living? Who is teaching the world the correct thing? Look at the Catholic Church. This is a huge institution in the Christianity world. Huge institution in the Christian faith. The first church of the Christian faith. But look what's happening inside the church. Hid their secrets of the Catholic. This is the reason why a lot of people now have left the Catholic. You go around the world, Catholic, you find that 60% of the church is empty. Where are we going? Can we please teach people the truth? Can we please teach and lead people to Christ? He didn't die for us so that we can also feel the pain. This is the devil's plans. The devil knows to say you have to pay for each and every sin. And look at how this organization, how organized these things are, these people are. Placed in high institutions, practicing. I don't know what, this is in men. Hideous acts. How do you start beating yourself? For what? Whipping yourself? For what? Jesus did that for you. This is why I always emphasize to say the devil hates man. He wants you to pay for each and every sin that you have committed on this face of the earth. He doesn't believe that you deserve salvation for free, like Jesus did. So that's why he has infiltrated the church. Look at the Catholic. Look at the Pope. Now they are allowing all sorts of sinful things in the church. Can we please wake up? I'll let the documentary run. God bless you. Like and subscribe. Comment. Let me see your thoughts. Is this right? Is this the way that we're supposed to be and live as Christians? Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Amen. God bless you.
Generous gift indeed. Manuel Mira firmly believes tuition should be free, but that's not the case. Tuition costs up to 18,000 euros a year, well above the Spanish average.
Buscan en una persona que cumpla tres condiciones.
They are looking for people who will ascend to the highest echelons of society, who will earn an academic title or hold a significant political office, or become a bishop or even the Pope.
Papa, obispo, o un puesto que sea relevante.
Opus Dei maintains a close-knit network to steer members into powerful positions. Besides the university in Pamplona, there's the Pontifical University of Santa Croce in Rome, hospitals in Pamplona and Madrid, business schools in Spain, the United States, Brazil and Germany, several hundred schools and kindergartens, as well as numerous foundations. The investments seem to be paying off. The Spanish judiciary is still said to be influenced by Opus Dei. Former judge Santiago Vidal made serious accusations. The newspaper El Público quoted him as saying, "1/3 of all Spanish judges and prosecutors are linked to Opus Dei." We meet a woman who tells us a shocking story about the way her father's death unfolded.
My father was an Opus Dei member, as was my late mother, and my brother Fernando is an Opus Dei priest. One day my brother told my father, "You will die in 4 days." My father was really shocked. He told everyone. He did have lung cancer, but it wasn't in the final stages. His doctors had told him that he had several more months to live, and he was active, meeting friends for coffee. But he died exactly 4 days later, under very strange circumstances.
According to Josefina Hurtado, a doctor from Opus Dei was in and out of her father's apartment. He sounded sedated on the phone and eventually stopped picking up. Josefina was working as a doctor in England at the time. Her father died on May the 17th, 2015, before she could return to Spain. Ascension Day and the anniversary of the beatification of Opus Dei founder Escrivá.
What a coincidence. Then, at his funeral, other Opus Dei members said it was such a blessing from heaven that Saint Josemaria Escrivá was his mediator to God. People even called to congratulate me. It was truly absurd, but it opened my eyes.
She grew suspicious her priest brother played a role in her father's death. She reported him and possible accomplices. The toxicology report revealed her father was administered sedatives. His heart medication was stopped and he wasn't drinking enough fluids. Was his death really planned? We obtained a document from Opus Dei founder Escrivá that was leaked to the court. It stated, in part, "When your hour comes, a priest will take care of you. You should confess everything to him so he can prepare you for God's embrace. Then, a doctor will then go and get an injection." Is Opus Dei playing God? A grave accusation, which a spokesman denies.
Some things are so ludicrous they don't even warrant a response. I've never seen nor heard of such a document. Nobody can know anything about it because it doesn't exist. The real question here is, who made it up? It's unfortunate that a family matter like this ends up in court or is picked up by the press. But that's how it is in life sometimes. There's nothing you can do.
But this document does indeed exist. The text appeared in the 1989 book Meditations Part 4 on page 695, written by Opus Dei founder Escrivá. The book is available to members in all Opus Dei centers in Spain. Court records show the death of Josefina Hurtado's father was investigated as a murder. There were also suspicions of falsifying a will to benefit Opus Dei, but the leads were inconclusive.
Opus Dei destroyed our lives. We used to be a close-knit family, but after my parents joined Opus Dei, everything fell apart. Towards the end of his life, my father said to me, "Your mother and I were deceived. They lied to us and deprived us of our wealth. They promised us heaven, but we ended up in hell."
Josefina Hurtado died in 2020. Her family chose not to pursue the case any further. Investigators found no clear evidence of foul play. Opus Dei founder Escrivá liked to say how difficult it is to get into the work of God, and how easy it is to leave it again. But former members tell a very different story.
Dass das so brutal ist, das ist mir auch erst bewusst geworden, als ich in diese...
I only became aware of how brutal it was when I was in this situation and thought to myself, oh God, you don't even have slippers, you don't even have an alarm clock. My father fought on my behalf and turned up the pressure. They only reacted when he said, "We're going to the press now, and what you did to my daughter will be a headline in tomorrow's newspaper." That's when they reacted. I got a small payout, which I used to pay my first month's rent and deposit. That was it.
Und meine Kaution bezahlen, das war's.
Other former members share similar stories. If members of Opus Dei decide they want to leave, they're pressured to reconsider. Regional Vicar Bockamp says that's not true.
Gut, ich denke, die Entscheidung zur Berufung gehört zu den freiesten Entscheidungen, die überhaupt.
The decision to answer this calling is one of the freest decisions anyone can make. Life decisions are free by nature. People are also free to choose to go another way. In my 25 years as a regional vicar, I can't recall any particular case where people were put under any pressure.
Wo also Leute sozusagen da bedrängt wurden.
What Prelat Bockamp says about the openness of Opus Dei is of course problematic. Those on the inside confirm what he says, while those who leave tell a completely different story. What's true? Are they then traitors? Are they liars?
Jemand, der Macht ausübt,
Someone who exercises power cannot understand that others perceive it as pressure. It's really a question of who holds the power. Am I the one in charge? I think that's the central question in Opus Dei.
Das ist, glaube ich, im Opus die zentrale Frage.
It appears it's a matter of perspective. Those who have found a personal calling in the work of God cannot understand the accusations. But disillusioned former members bitterly criticize the group. In a secular society, not everyone understands the appeal of Opus Dei. While the German diocese admit to losing believers in droves, Opus Dei says it easily finds new recruits.
Diejenigen, die jetzt aus der Kirche austreten, das sind...
Those who now leave the church are often those who believed that the church is changing. Anyone who is searching for order, hierarchy, and authority in the church isn't moving away. They're saying, now, finally, these liberals who weren't true believers are finally gone. Now it will be much better for us here, and our influence will be much greater. When all the lukewarm believers, the gray sheep, leave, it's the purest that are left behind. And in this pure flock, Opus Dei, as well as other very authoritarian spiritual communities, will be more dominant.
Hat das Opus und haben auch andere sehr autoritäre geistliche Gemeinschaften einen größeren Anteil.
The Catholic Church is once again at a crossroads. Should it open itself to the world or barricade itself? Pope Francis seems unwilling or unable to choose a clear direction. For Opus Dei, that question is at the very crux of its future.
Today, Opus Dei doesn't have the same powerful role it had in the 70s or 80s. But Opus Dei wants to play a role in the next conclave, so there won't be a pope as progressive as Pope Francis.
wie Papst Franziskus.
Das Opus Dei muss, glaube ich, seinen Einfluss.
I don't think Opus Dei has to fear losing its influence in the Vatican. Pope Francis is certainly no friend of Opus Dei, and Opus Dei definitely does not have a figurehead sitting on the papal throne. But in other matters, family, women, or in relation to gender, Pope Francis is also somewhat conservative, and certainly not at the forefront of the reform movement.
An der Spitze der Reformbewegung.
Opus Dei has a lot of money. It has a lot of real estate and houses. It has companies which it indirectly controls. And in these ways, even if it's not pastoral care, it will maintain its presence and exert pressure.
Yo creo que ellos, el Opus Dei,
I think Opus Dei will hold its sway among the elites, and beyond that, will patiently wait until the time is ripe to step into the limelight again. Opus Dei is in no hurry. Eternity is on its side.
pero la realidad es que la eternidad está de su parte.
Opus Dei remains a phenomenon shrouded in secrecy. It may not be a criminal organization or a holy mafia, but it can't claim to be open or transparent either. It revolves around faith, power, and money, and if former members are to be believed, manipulation and pressure too. It would seem cohesion and obedience outweigh the touted values of love and mercy.